Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and people who are into the paranormal, I am Tony Lucero, and we are back with Ghost Radio USA, live on Spreaker.com. It's good to be back. I know I've been on hiatus for a while, and it's been, kind of a hectic summer, but before we begin our broadcast, I'm going to handle a little bit of business first. This show is brought to you by the Late Night Horror Film Festival, the City of Downey's premier horror film festival, featuring 10 independent horror films from across the country and across the globe, taking place on October 2nd to October 5th at various locations in Downey, including Krikorian Premier Theaters, Downey Cinema 10, Epic Lounge, and more to be announced. For more information about the Late Night Horror Film Festival, log on to www.latenightHorrorFilmFest.com for more info and to purchase tickets. Get them while they last. Also mention promo code HORRORMovieMan for a 20% discount. Alright everybody, it's summer, a little past the midsummer point, and it's been kind of hot. Been taking care of a lot of business. I know I've been away for a while, for about a month and a half, but as promised, I am bringing you one of the episodes talking about the RMS Queen Mary, which is ported in Long Beach, California. And for those of you who don't know about the Queen Mary is a retired cruise ship, obviously from England, hence RMS, Royal Majesty ship. And, it's reported as one of the most 10 haunted places in all of the United States. Now, why all the buzz about the Queen Mary, the haunts and stuff? Well, in order to, like I mentioned in previous broadcasts, in order to understand why a particular location is haunted or allegedly haunted or experiencing some type of paranormal activity, you have to know the history of the place or the location. In this instance, the boat. And I use the term boat loosely, like I pretty much do everything else. So, the Queen Mary, the RMS Queen Mary, we're going to go kind of back a little bit, actually all the way back to 1936. The Queen Mary launched in 1936 and was a cruise ship actually until the beginning of World War II. Now when World War II broke out, she was converted from a cruise liner, a luxury cruise liner, into an transport ship, which she ferried Allied troops for the duration of the war. Following the war, the Queen Mary was retired for passenger service, and up until 1967, she sailed the seas, but with, time and age and operating cost, she was retired permanently. So she was docked at, Long Beach Harbor, across the water from downtown Long Beach, where she remains today as a tourist attraction and luxury hotel. So that's the overall broad history of the boat, the ship, if you will. And you guys are probably wondering, okay, yeah, boring ship history, blah blah blah. So let's talk about some of the rumors of the alleged Queen Mary hauntings. Okay, so following the Queen Mary's permanent docking in California, the ship became the subject of haunting rumors. It goes with anything of antiquity. Since the 1980s, this supposed haunting has figured significantly into the marketing and promotion of the ship, with various attractions and tours presenting the theme for visitors. The ship was voted one of the top 10 most haunted places in America by Time Magazine back in 2008. And what part of the ship is haunted? That's the $1 million question. Cabin B as in Bravo 340, is alleged to be haunted by the spirit of a person who was murdered there. And people have also reported hearing sounds of children playing in the nursery, in the hallways. Others reported seeing ghosts of a young sailor who was accidentally killed in the ship's engine room. And also by ghosts of crew members of the Curacoa, which was a small ship that was escorting the Queen Mary. Queen Mary accidentally rammed into that boat, and this was during World War II, and killed 239 passengers. So that's quite a bit of, you can say, torments and angry spirits that could be, lurking around that boat. And of course, there's the infamous Lady in White, who, many people report seeing that, that apparition. And the ship's been featured in, especially its haunted history, has been featured in various. We got a caller coming in. Hey. Alright. They hung up. Anyway, sorry about that, folks. So, getting back to it, okay. The Queen Mary had many books written about her hauntings, about her, the apparitions, the history and such. It was also featured on Unsolved Mysteries, back in the 80s and early 90s. There's a great show on network television called Unsolved Mysteries, for those who you don't remember it or too young to remember it. It's hosted by Robert Stack, and each week that show highlighted unusual murders, mysteries, and every year around Halloween time, it would feature haunted places. And I distinctly remember actually learning about the Queen Mary's hauntings by watching Unsolved Mysteries. I believe I was maybe like 12 or 13 years old at the time. And more recently, say maybe about 7 or 8 years ago, TAPS, the Atlantic Paranormal Society, famous paranormal research group, they investigated the ship for the TV show Ghost Hunters, and I believe the case can be covered in the 11th or 12th episode of the second season. So it's in the second season of Ghost Hunters. So if you guys are on Netflix or Hulu, look that one up, and it's all about the Queen Mary. So those are just some of the rumors of Queen Mary hauntings in a nutshell. Be back and take a little break, and when we come back, actually I'm saying we because hopefully there's some people out there listening to this right now, but when the show returns, I'm going to tell you some of the experiences I had, especially more recently, earlier this month, while I was filming a wedding at the Queen Mary on board in one of the halls. So you're listening to Ghost Radio USA. I'm Tony Lucero, and we'll be back right after this.
After I'm gone, your Earth will be free to live out its miserable span of existence. It's one of my satellites. And that's how it's going to be.
And I'm back. You're listening to Ghost Radio USA on Spreaker.com. Don't forget you can log on to our website at ghostradiousa.weebly.com, and to be able to, you guys can be able to download all of our podcasts. Excuse me, there, getting a little hot and tired there. But log on to ghostradiousa.weebly.com for more information about the show, a little bit about my background as far as my paranormal experiences, my investigation and expertise. You could also, email us your stories pertaining to paranormal activity. Now, paranormal activity doesn't just consist of ghosts and spirits and hauntings. You've got UFO encounters, you've got cryptozoology, aka Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Chupacabra, little old lady next door who chases you with the chancla and tries to beat you over the head with a ball, anything like that, and much more. So you can email us, ghostradiousa@gmail.com. Share your story with us. You can remain anonymous, change your name if you're too embarrassed or think that people might think you're a raving lunatic by talking to me, or let me rephrase that, talking to me about the paranormal. So email us, check us out on Facebook, log on to the website. I'll mention it later on in the show again for those of you who have missed. Or you can also call in during our live broadcast, and I'm emphasizing on the live broadcast, every Sunday night around 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you try calling any later than 10:25 on Sunday nights Pacific Standard Time, you're probably just going to get my regular voicemail. So if you want to call in right now and speak about your haunted experiences or stories about the RMS Queen Mary in Long Beach, you may do so right now at area code 562-712-3812. Now, Ghost Radio USA is brought to you by generous donations from Mario Moreno out in Santa Fe Springs, from Norena Martinez out in Los Angeles, from Sarah Marsh out in the San Fernando Valley, and one of our listeners who wishes to remain anonymous out in Kern County. The show is also brought to you by the Late Night Horror Film Festival, the City of Downey's premier horror film festival, taking place October 2nd through the 5th in City of Downey at Krikoria Premier Theaters, Downey Cinema 10, Epic Lounge, and much more. For more information about the Late Night Horror Film Festival, or the LNHFF as it's commonly referred to, log on to latenightHorrorFilmFest.com, or you can send me an email here at ghostradiousa@gmail.com. Now, getting back to the RMS Queen Mary. Like I said before, the Queen Mary was launched on her maiden voyage back in 1936 as a luxury liner, similar to the Titanic. It had like 6 miles of lush carpet, throughout the ship. Stately furniture. I mean, just it was a royal treatment, fit for a queen. And she sailed the seas, the Atlantic, and when World War II arose, she was called into duty as a transport ship for Allied troops. Now, like I mentioned before, there was an accident she encountered where, let me look at my notes here. Bear with me, Okay, so, long story short, the Queen Mary accidentally rammed into one of the escort ships, I believe it's pronounced Curacao, and 239 people on board were killed. So it's rumored that many of those sailors, ghosts of those sailors, roamed the ship's deck and the hull and through its halls, angry spirits. So, anyways, so we're going to getting back into ghost sightings. Oh yeah, I know my mind's kind of all over the place, and that's usually the way it is here. No, I don't have ADD. I'm just got a lot on my mind. Anyway, enough of the ranting. Queen Mary hauntings and my personal experiences. Okay, a few weeks ago, actually, almost a month ago, on the 3rd this month, I had the privilege of shooting a wedding on the Queen Mary. It's a nice couple, very beautiful summer day. It wasn't too hot, nice sea breeze. We're roaming around the decks with our cameras. My production assistant / good friend Michael Pickle and I were just taking lots of random shots, and we didn't really see anything. We weren't really paying it, looking for ghosts while we're there. We're concentrating on producing this wedding video, and when I got home that night and uploaded all the footage and the photographs, I noticed several things on there, several anomalies in the footage. First of all, in the Queen's Ballroom. Now, anybody who's ever been on the ship knows that the Queen Mary hosts quite a few ballrooms and parties and lavish events. Well, we're in the Queen's Ballroom, and when I was looking at some stills, I noticed that there were these white smudges, if you will, in the frames, and these are digitals. I took a closer look at them and had to do a double take because I could have sworn I saw a face in them. So I looked, and the face that I saw was a white smudge. It looked like it could have been a picture of a woman from the 1920s based on the hairstyle, the hat she was wearing. Kind of looks like the 20s, 30s era. So this was something very early. I know the ship was made in 36, but it was old style time. We're not going to say 20s. Let's say 30s. Be more accurate. But I'm going to post those up on the website soon. But it's just, she appeared in the room where there was no other light source. It was away from the DJ lights. It wasn't a reflection. This was a solid figure, which gradually fade into translucent shadow trailing behind. So we caught that. Caught several EVPs on the deck, actually, and saw a few other saw some orbs, and we noticed the orbs when we took a few shots. And so got my lens cleaning kit out, cleaned the lens, shot, and it was fine for a few frames. And then lo and behold, got some more orbs. Now I analyze them, make sure they weren't hexagonal in shape, indicating beams of natural light, or seeing if they were dust. No, these were solid orbs, and in these orbs, right in the center, there were faces. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Now, we were very tempted to go on a paranormal investigation afterwards, but we've been shooting for 16 hours, throughout the day, the prep and all that. We were tired, we were out of batteries. Oh yeah, getting back to batteries, okay. When I went to go swap batteries, mind you, all these batteries are fully charged, contacts clear, I take care of my equipment. I swapped batteries, and the second battery just died. I'm not going to tell you what part of the ship we were at, because we were getting some B-roll shots, but battery died. They weren't overheated, nothing, battery died. Would not turn on. I had a mobile charger with me, plugged that puppy back in, and it still wouldn't hold a charge. Once we moved away from that area, guess what, people? My battery started working just fine. So that's something we're also looking into, that we took into accord. We're actually going to be doing an investigation at the Queen Mary. Now, they're not allowed by the general public. They are monopolized by some other groups, and they do their own ghost tours, which cost a lot of money. But hey, the Queen Mary is a business, and we respect that. But we will be doing our own guerrilla investigation very soon, and we'll post video and photos and such on our website. So I'm going to take one more quick little break, and we get back, we're going to see check our inbox and hopefully share some stories with you. So be back right after this. Okay, we are back here with Ghost Radio and about to hit the home stretch. I'm Tony Lucero, paranormal investigator, enthusiast, and expert. I'm also an ordained minister, and I'm working on my PhD in paranormal studies. So, that's right, soon to be Dr. Tony Lucero, which more of an honorary title, but we'll get into that another time. Having a little trouble with this soundboard here. So, let's see, we spoke about some of the hauntings in Queen Mary and a few of my personal experiences. We're actually going to talk about a few more sightings. Just brought up some more of my notes. So, and mind you, this I've been, combing the internet and just building up volumes of different sightings to kind of compare and contrast, because that's what a researcher does. You look up the history and history of other encounters and basically try to put two and two together. So, like I said, the Queen Mary was once a celebrated ocean liner, very luxurious, keyword on luxury here. And once its sailing days were over, the Queen Mary was purchased by the city of Long Beach, California in 1967, and was transformed into a hotel. Now, over the years, there have been tons of sightings, tons of stories, tons of rumors. I worked at the Queen Mary one Halloween season back in 2006 when I was in college, and we had our own encounters there. Aside from all of us who were dressed up as monsters and trying to scare people, we went on our own guerrilla investigations after everything was shut down, and we did encounter quite a bit of different activity. So, the most haunted area of the ship, allegedly, is the engine room, where a 17-year-old sailor was crushed to death trying to escape from a fire. Knocking and banging on pipes around the door has been heard and recorded by numerous people. In what is now the front desk area of the hotel, visitors have seen the ghost of a lady in white. And ghosts of children are also said to haunt the ship's pool. The spirit of a young girl who allegedly broke her neck in an accident at the pool has been heard asking for her mother and her doll. And the hallway of the pool's changing room area is an area of unexplained activity. Furniture moves about by itself. People feel the touch of unseen hands, and unknown spirits appear. Tons of apparition encounters. And in the front hull of the ship, a specter can sometimes be heard screaming. The anguished voice, some believe are of a sailor who was killed when the Queen Mary collided into the smaller ship, the Curacao, like I told you. So, all sorts of haunting. And we're going to actually do a guerrilla investigation there pretty soon. I'm putting together a group, small team of investigators, medium and such. And we're going to go out there and do a guerrilla investigation, and hopefully I'll be set up with a mobile version of Spreaker, so I can perhaps maybe do a live broadcast from the ship. So we'll keep you posted on that. So we've got about 5 minutes left in our broadcast. If any of you have stories to tell of the Queen Mary to share with us, you can email them to us. Email address is ghostradiousa@gmail.com, or you may give us a call here. Lines are open for 4 more minutes. 562-712-3812. So, Queen Mary, I'll just go ahead and describe it from my perspective. It's a beautiful ship. It's big. It's massive. It's definitely a luxurious hotel on the water. When you go from floor to floor, it's just touching the wood paneling and the wooden brass rails, leading up the different small flights of steps, all the way up to the top deck. You're on the top deck. You just feel like you've gone back in time. Feel like you're in a time warp. Everything's there from the late 30s and 40s, and You've got the lifeboat still hanging. You still have some of these massive machine guns. They're disarmed, of course, but mounted on the stern, and it's just the engine room, old engine room, and everything is just smells antique, feels antique. Right now they have a Princess Diana display going on in there, an exhibit, and they even have a Russian sub on display, in the waters right next to the Queen Mary. And when you go towards the back of the ship, it's a breathtaking view. You feel like you're, back in time. You just need, your suit and tie on, and just, wow, it's an experience being on that boat, and that's that it's permanently docked there. So it overlooks Long Beach Harbor, and you just see out to the Pacific Ocean and across the way to the downtown Long Beach skyline. It's a beautiful, breathtaking view at night, especially with the sunset and everything. It's just, if you haven't been to the Queen Mary, whether it's for ghost hunting or just for a little daycation, if you will, I suggest you take it out. It's just, look it up. It's the RMS Queen Mary in Long Beach. If you're a Southern California native living in Los Angeles or Orange counties, there's no excuse. Get down there. It's a sight, to be seen, and an experience to feel. Now, I'm going to share a little story with you. A few years ago, like I said, I'm very attached to my nieces. I don't get to spend a lot of time with them like I normally used to or normally would. But there were about 5 years ago, I took them to the Queen Mary. Well, actually, it was maybe like 4 years ago, I believe, back in 2009. Took them to the Queen Mary for lunch one day. Just figured, hey, it's a nice spring day. I want to spend some time with them. Keep an eye on them for my sister while she was working. So I took the nieces to the Queen Mary. I was walking around the deck, and I observed them because I just had a gut feeling they would see something or somebody there. So only got a couple minutes, but my youngest niece, when we went down to the hotel through the hallways, she stopped and I heard her giggling. And before I turned around, I said, "What you laughing at, Emma?" And she's like, "Well, nothing." And I looked around, and lo and behold, I saw the apparition of a little girl in front of her playing patty cake. And she was laughing. I'm like, "Who's that?" And she goes, "Oh, this is my friend." And I heard the apparitions, giggling. As soon as the apparition saw me, she shied away and, disappeared. But my niece was only about 3.5 at the time, and it was a breathtaking experience. But the weird thing was, she wasn't frightened. I wasn't frightened. I mean, I'm used to that stuff. And the oldest of my nieces saw her too, but she was a little skeptical. Kind of scared, kind of wary. So we just moved on throughout the boat and went to different parts. When we got to the old hospital/morgue area of the boat, my nieces got uneasy. They were kind of freaking out. I didn't even tell them what it was, but they just felt and sensed something there. And the little one saw another apparition that scared her. So took them back outside, and we eventually left the boat and had lunch. But it was one of my personal experiences with the Queen Mary. Something I'd like to share with you guys, and I'm just wondering if my nieces remember that or not. So one day they'll, we'll sit down and we'll talk with them and see what's going on. But I'd also like to thank all of you today for joining in to Ghost Radio USA. It was nice to be back after a hiatus. Like always, one little bit of advice I give to people: if you're ghost hunting, be safe, be careful. Good night.